The laughter started before I even understood the joke. I was standing near the buffet table at my wife's company charity event, holding a glass of water, trying to look like I belonged there. Then someone behind me said something. Something that made the entire group laugh. Not just laugh. The kind of laugh people have when they think someone is pathetic. And then I heard my wife's voice. Soft. Amused. Oh, he wouldn't notice. More laughter. I didn't turn around immediately. Sometimes the worst moments in life arrive quietly. You feel them first. Like a cold wind moving through a warm room. And in that moment, I realized something was very wrong. The ballroom was beautiful. Tall golden chandeliers hung from the ceiling. Soft piano music drifted through the air. Men in tailored suits walked around with confident smiles. Women in elegant dresses held glasses of wine, talking about investments, promotions, new projects. This was my wife Laura's world, not mine. I wore my best suit that night, but compared to everyone else, it looked simple, affordable, safe. I worked as a project supervisor for a construction company. Long hours, early mornings, hard work, but it paid the mortgage. It paid for Laura's graduate school. It paid for the life we built. At least, that's what I believed back then. Laura worked as a financial analyst at a large consulting firm downtown. She was brilliant, sharp, ambitious. The kind of person who always had a 5-year plan. And lately, that plan seemed to include working late almost every night. At first I didn't question it. Big projects, end of quarter deadlines, corporate life. It all sounded reasonable. But over the past few months, something had changed. The late nights became later. The explanations became shorter. And the distance between us grew quietly. Another late night tonight, she told me one Wednesday evening while grabbing her keys. I nodded. Busy season, I asked. She sighed. You wouldn't believe how stressful it is right now. I smiled softly. I probably wouldn't. She gave me a quick kiss on the cheek, then walked out. The door closed, and the house felt strangely quiet. That night something strange happened. Around 9:30 I realized I had left an important folder in my truck. So I stepped outside to grab it. As I opened the truck door, my phone buzzed. A message. From an unknown number. 3 words. Check her office. That was it. No explanation. No name. Just those 3 words. At first I thought it was a prank. But something about it stayed with me. Like a small pebble in your shoe. Annoying. Impossible to ignore. The next evening Laura told me the same thing. Working late again. I nodded. Big project. Yeah. She grabbed her bag. I might be home after midnight. I smiled politely. Okay. She left. And about 10 minutes later, I picked up my keys. Her office building was only 15 minutes away. Downtown looked beautiful at night. Streetlights reflecting on glass towers. Restaurants filled with quiet conversations. Cars moving slowly through the city. But when I arrived at Laura's office building, something felt off. The lobby lights were dim. The front desk was empty. And the security gate was closed. I checked the sign on the door. Office hours. 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Closed. I stood there for a long moment. Confused. Maybe she was already inside. Maybe employees had special access. So I walked around the building. Every floor was dark. No lights. No movement. Nothing. That's when the uneasy feeling in my chest turned into something heavier. Not anger. Not yet. Just realization. The next morning at breakfast, Laura looked exhausted. She stirred her coffee slowly. Rough night, I asked. She nodded. Very. Big project. She sighed dramatically. You have no idea. I looked at her for a moment. Then said something simple. You work too hard. She smiled. Someone has to. The strange messages continued. Every few days. Always from the same unknown number. Short. Simple. Look deeper. Not where she says. Friday night. At first I ignored them. But eventually curiosity became stronger than denial. Friday evening Laura said she had another late meeting. This time with senior partners. She looked unusually excited. I noticed the new dress. The perfume. The careful makeup. Not the look of someone heading to a stressful meeting. But I stayed calm. I smiled. Good luck tonight. She kissed my cheek. Thanks. And left. This time, I didn't go to her office. Instead, I followed her car. Not closely. Just enough to keep it in sight. She drove downtown. Then past her office building. Then across the river. Into a district filled with expensive restaurants and rooftop bars. My chest tightened. But I stayed calm. Laura pulled into the parking lot of a luxury hotel. I parked across the street and waited. 5 minutes later, another car arrived. A sleek black sedan. A man stepped out. Tall, confident, expensive suit. He looked around briefly, then walked toward the hotel entrance. Laura joined him there. She laughed at something he said. Then they walked inside together, like it was the most natural thing in the world. I didn't confront them. I didn't storm inside. I simply sat in the car, watching the revolving doors spin slowly. And in that moment, I understood everything. The next morning the unknown number texted again. Now you know. I stared at the message for a long time, then finally replied. Who is this? A few seconds later, the response came. Someone who hates lies. 2 days later I met that person. Her name was Diane. She worked in the same building as Laura's company. Not in finance. In building management. She had noticed something unusual months ago. Laura leaving early. Returning late. Meeting the same man. Over and over again. I tried to ignore it, Diane told me quietly over coffee. But when I saw you waiting outside the building one night, I realized you didn't know. I nodded slowly. She slid a small envelope across the table. Inside were printed photos. Hotel entrances. Restaurant tables. Laura and the same man. Always together. Always smiling. I felt many emotions that day. Shock. Sadness. Disappointment. But strangely, not rage. Just clarity. 2 weeks later Laura invited me to her company's annual awards banquet. This year is important, she said. My team might win a major contract. I smiled. That's great. Will you come? Of course. The ballroom that night was even more crowded. Executives. Clients. Investors. Laura looked radiant in a deep blue dress. Confident. Admired. She introduced me to people casually. This is my husband. Some shook my hand politely. Others barely looked at me. And one man looked at me with quiet amusement. The same man from the hotel. Later in the evening Laura walked onto the stage. The company CEO handed her the microphone. Tonight Laura will present the strategy that secured our newest multi-million-dollar partnership. Applause filled the room. Laura smiled confidently. A projector screen lit up behind her. Slides appeared. Charts. Numbers. Projections. She spoke smoothly, like someone who believed completely in her own success. Halfway through the presentation, she clicked to the next slide. But something unexpected appeared. Not a chart. Not a graph. A photograph. Laura froze. The room went silent. It was a picture of the hotel entrance. Laura and the executive walking inside together. Another slide appeared. Dinner photos. More hotel photos. Whispers spread through the crowd. Laura turned pale. Technical error, she said quickly. But the slides kept changing. Each one telling the same story. I stood slowly from my chair. Walked calmly toward the stage. And took the microphone. The room was completely silent now. Hundreds of eyes watching. I spoke slowly. Clearly. My wife told me she was working late for months. Pause. But her office closes at 7. Soft murmurs rippled through the audience. I continued. I didn't come here tonight to embarrass anyone. Pause. I came here because truth deserves daylight. I looked at Laura. She couldn't meet my eyes. Then I addressed the room. Respect is a simple thing. Pause. It's not about money, titles, or success. I glanced around the elegant ballroom. It's about honesty. Pause. And when honesty disappears, everything else eventually collapses. I placed a single envelope on the podium. Divorce papers. Already signed. Then I stepped away from the microphone. Not angry. Not dramatic. Just finished. Outside the hotel, the night air felt cool and calm. City lights reflected on the river. For the first time in months, my chest felt light. A few minutes later Diane texted. Proud of you. I smiled slightly. Not because of revenge, but because dignity had survived. Life didn't change overnight. Healing takes time. But something important had returned. Self-respect. And peace. Sometimes the greatest strength isn't fighting back. It's walking away. With your head high. If someone ever underestimates you, let them. Truth has a quiet way of revealing itself. And when it does, you won't need to shout. Your silence will say everything. If this story resonated with you, let me know where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.